And then there's me, the opening, narrator and author, Regina Sanford. And then there's me, the opening, narrator and author, Regina Sanford. Conversation in the wastelands. Andrinus, greeted by a stranger. Well, look what the cat dragged in. I'll take it, the stranger says as he stumbles upon Andrina. Stay away from me. Get your hands off me. I am Adrena. I will get out of here, and when I do, pipe down, girl. Trust me, when I say exerting authority here, it's not what you want to do. I'm Mavis. Follow me if you want to live to get out of here. You can tell me what I've missed up there, my penny from the gods, he added with a sinister laugh. I'm not telling you anything, Andrina said, pulling away from Mavis and standing firm in her place. Where am I? Andrina demanded to know. I see. We have to teach you how to act then, Mavis said, grabbing Andrina by her arm and throwing her to the ground. Andrina's head hit the ground so hard that it knocked her out cold. Now, that's more like it. Women. Can't live with them and can't understand them either, Mavis said, laughing. Minus! Mavis shouted. Minus, being in the wastelands for murdering the potions shopkeeper at the compound, appeared. Yes, is there a problem? He responded, looking down at Andrina. What do we have here? A creation of mortals, Minus said, laughing. Yes, and our ticket out of here, Mavis said, looking at Andrina like a fine meal. Gather the crew, Minus, and tell Skull beforehand that this one is mine. Skull, sentenced to the wastelands for controlling the minds of witches, boards of crafts members, and absorbing their powers. Afterwards, he would kill them. He's known for his mind manipulation abilities to confuse his opponents to extreme degrees. Make it clear before anyone comes near her, Minus, Mavis commanded. Minus nodded, then left. Andrina came too, laying on the ground, her sight coming into focus. She rubbed her head, then sat upright. Where am I? She asked, looking at Mavis as he sat on a chair made from the bones of wizards that he'd killed there in the wastelands. We'll get to that soon enough, girlie. First things first. Mavis stands to his feet, walks over to Andrina, extending his hand to help her up from the ground. She gladly accepted. Andrina stood to her feet, still feeling the impact from the blow that Mavis gave her. But knowing that she is no match for Mavis, she humbles herself, looking around the dark and dismal area that is now her home. Please, where am I? Andrina asked. Now, that's more like it, Mavis said, taking his seat. Sit down, girlie. Relax. Let's reason together, shall we? Mavis said to Andrina. All of a sudden, Andrina stands to her feet, feeling the presence of those that Mavis had summoned coming up behind her. Minus walks over and stands beside Mavis. Vinox, third in command, walks around Andrina, looking at her up and down with doubt. Knowing what she was, he looked at Mavis. Mavis smiled wide, nodding his head and rubbing his hands together. Skull stood behind Andrina, smelling her. He drew back and looked at Mavis. He brushed past Andrina, making her lose her balance as she falls to the ground. Skull smiles, looking down at Andrina, daring her to stand. Andrina stays on the ground. Never before feeling this kind of power, she smiles, looking up at Skull, then looking at Mavis, Minus, and Vinox. There, see? We're not so bad, girlie, Mavis says, extending his hand for Andrina to sit in one of the chairs designed by Skull himself. Skull began to growl as she stood to her feet, taking a seat facing them all. Let's give the girl a try, Skull, Mavis said, looking at Andrina. This girl was just about to introduce herself and fill us with enlightenment, Mavis said, looking at Andrina. This should be interesting, to say the least, Minus commented. Yeah, that is one word for it, Vinox interrupted, looking at Andrina, waiting for her to talk. Vinox, sentenced to the wastelands for indulging in black arts and experimenting on humans, being labeled as criminally insane. Skull just sat looking at Andrina, growling like he wanted to devour her at the drop of a hat. Mavis clears his throat. Then, sitting up straight as an arrow, he looked at Andrina. Andrina didn't waste any time speaking. My name is Andrina. I was placed here by Solidarity, Clawson, and Pokka, Andrina said.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?